Hi guys, I'm Clarke, and today I'm going to be looking at why I moved away from using humbuckers and ultimately why I'm going back to them. So while like many I started on a Squier Affinity Strat when I was first learning to play guitar, I quickly discovered Slash, and again like many I quickly bought myself an Epiphone Les Paul, and I used that for many years until I discovered PRS guitars. Now PRS divide a lot of players, a lot of people really don't like them, a lot of people absolutely love them. I personally really love them. In the ideal world I'd have probably gone for a Gibson Les Paul, but the American S2 range that PRS offered at the time kind of offered me that American quality without the price tag, and it cost less than half of what a Les Paul would have cost me. So I ultimately chose to have the PRS mirror that you saw in the opening clip of this video. Now, I remember remarking when I got this guitar that I'd rather screwed myself over because I no longer had any excuse to buy another guitar. That would change. And that was simply because it was so versatile that it kind of did everything I needed it to do. This guitar got used in numerous bands, but most notably it got used as my primary guitar for my band Fuzzwalker that I was in with Billy and Donna from Brave Rival and a guy called Matt. This was between 2017 and 2019, and by my own admission, I didn't have a lot of finesse in my playing back at that time. It was all about rock, but it was around this time that I discovered one John Mayer, and with that, the idea of a Fender Strat. Previous to this, I'd always found that, I guess as I was so used to humbucking guitars, that when I used single coils, I found them extremely weak and thin. I just had no use for them at that time. But once I discovered John Mayer's playing, the subtleties he used, and the sort of position 2 and 4 on the Strat that kind of give you the out of phase type sounds, I was really hooked on that. So the quest started for a Strat that I could afford that at the time was not intended to be my number one, so I started looking at the lower end of the Fender Mexican range. But before I bought any such Strats, I was asked to dep for Billy and Donna's other band, Brave Rival, who were without a guitarist at the time, and this led to what a lot of fans keep reminding me of, where I was forced to do a gig with no shirt on, simply because it was, if I remember rightly, 31 degrees, and I had to walk through Southsea to get to Victoria's Festival, and by the time I got there, the straps of my guitar case had left lovely sweat marks down my t-shirt, and the idiot that I am, I didn't bring a spare. So I'll be forever haunted by the footage that you're about to see. Following that gig, I continued my quest for a Strat. I was getting increasingly convinced that a Strat's sounds would be much more appropriate to Brave Rival than my PRS was, at least at that time. So like I say, I started hunting around the lower prices of the Mexican range, quickly discovered that there was nothing that was really appealing to me or connecting with me, so I heightened my search to the upper end of the Mexican range and found a beautiful Strat in a sapphire blue. When I went to go buy it, I discovered Fender was at that time making another guitar in sapphire blue, and that was their Fender Special Run American Professional Strat in sapphire blue. Of course, I was hooked. That was that, and I got my Strat, which, as many of you will know, is called Sally, and that rubbish I said about not needing another guitar and PRS being my number one was out the window. I was obsessed with Sally. Now, while the guitar was serving me really well, there was one big issue I was having with it, and that was the noise. It had Fender custom shop 69 pickups in it, which were of course single coils, vintage voiced, and that meant that at some venues I was getting a lot of hum and I was finding it completely unmanageable. So what I did is something that may be sacrilege to some of you. I switched the pickups out for Fender's noiseless ones and a preamp from the Mexican Roadhouse Deluxe Strat. And this is what I've been using for quite a long time now. I was originally using its preamp to match the output of the pickups that were originally in the Strat, but not too long after doing this modification, I wound it up and was maximizing the preamp because I was just finding I wanted that extra bit of output. Now, while single coils did me absolutely fine for the Lice Machine cycle, I was finding that increasingly, as we were becoming a rockier based band, I was missing that kind of higher output, and I think the fact that I dialed the preamp up to its maximum was evidence of this. Recently I've started playing my PRS again for a couple of songs we have in a different tuning, and I found that I kind of miss that kind of sustain and thickness you get from humbuckers. Even though technically the noiseless pickups are humbuckers, they're obviously voiced to sound as much like single coils as possible, so they don't have the same level of sustain. For a while I flirted with the idea of just going back to humbucking guitars, but the simple fact is I love Sally so much and I want to keep playing that guitar. So I've come to the conclusion of putting humbuckers in Sally. Now that might be sacrilege again to many of you, it certainly is to me. To me, a Strat is a 3 single coil guitar. However, I've done a lot of research and I found the Everything Axe set by Seymour Duncan. This is a set of 3 humbuckers that are single coil sized, and the idea is you can use them each as humbuckers, or you can use the in-between sounds which have been designed to try and replicate the normal sound of a Strat. The pickups have been ordered and they're on their way, but until I get them in the guitar, I don't know whether this is the solution I've been looking for, or just another step on the road to the somewhat unattainable perfect tone. Until then, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button below and make sure you're subscribed. Have yourself a great day, and I'll see you next time.